Hey guys, my name is Kelsey and I'm going to be talking to you about the effects of pesticides on human health. I'll be focusing mainly on industrialized pesticides, so those used with farmers and businesses and things like that, but also I'll dive a little bit into pesticides and insecticides that we use in our household. So where did it all begin? During the heavy agricultural years of the 1940s and 50s, chemicals like sodium chlorate, sulfuric acid, and other organic chemicals were derived straight from natural resources and altered very, very minimally in order to protect our fruits and vegetables and be sprayed for food that cows and chickens and pigs and things like that ate. However, it's a very costly type of way of protection. Farmers and businesses kind of realized how much money they were spending in protecting our food and instead decided to pour that money into research. Throughout that research, scientists were able to develop synthetic pesticides by altering chemical formulas of some of the natural resources and creating their own type of chemicals. They actually made pesticides such as DDT, BHC, and aldrin. They were the three most popular used in this time period. When they were first created, they appeared to have low toxicity, so people weren't concerned with the health risks and negative biological consequences of using these different pesticides. The Times magazine even came out and wrote an article about how great DDT was, how awesome it was that the farmers now have a cheaper way to protect our food. Farmers were growing more, selling more, gaining a bigger profit. Everybody was excited and happy about this. No one was really focusing on the negative side effects and consequences of using synthetic chemicals.
Scientists have worked for years developing insecticides to control roaches. DDT proved fairly effective, but later another chemical, chlordane, was developed, and today it is considered to be one of the most effective insecticides for roach control. Chlordane is available in liquid or powder form.
What this quiet part of the video is talking about is the dust and gas aspect of pesticides.
The application of chlordane dust to sewers and other breeding places has become a standard practice in many cities. This is often done with the cooperation of commercial exterminators. The development of insecticides has kept pace with our modern way of life. Today, chemicals are available which will kill insects weeks after they're applied. Through proper use of these chemicals by individuals and communities, we can say goodbye to Mr. Roach, our #1 household pest.
So what this video was really talking about was the fact that DDT was being proved to be this great thing, protecting our food and being used on a wide scale, that they were able to bring it in and harness it more for household use and creating chlordane, which was another highly effective pesticide, but also negatively affected us as well. Again, during the 50s, nobody was concerned with negative consequences or potential health risks. The food was cheaper and people were happier. There were no reported cases of human deaths with normal use of pesticides, but the normal use was really under the farmer's discretion. How much pesticide they used, what kind of pesticide they used, what type they used. So there was no one in there regulating or creating rules. So it was really kind of a free-for-all type of thing that was going on, and later on, people will start to see the actual negative side effects. Another reason that the community was so happy about this alternative pesticide method was because it was better than the arsenic-based pesticides that they had in the 20s and 30s that were killing hundreds of people. They were really focused on the positive aspects versus the negative. The first person to really bring to light any negative consequences or potential health risks and dangers was a woman by the name of Rachel Carson. She was a marine biologist and conservationist. She published a book in 1962 called Silent Spring. This really brought to light indiscriminate use that farmers had for pesticides. So again, there were no policies or regulation or anybody in charge of making sure that these pesticides were being used appropriately and healthily as well. She was really the first one to kind of pave the way for regulators to come in, like the EPA or FDA and USDA, to ensure the health of not only the environment, but also of our local communities as well. There are different ways of being poisoned with pesticides, the two biggest ones being ingestion by mouth. So that would be eating fruits and vegetables or contaminated meat as well with pesticides, and also breathing in through air using a gas form of pesticide that's widely used within farmers and industrial workers. It's more widely spread, so it can spread out to communities. We can ingest that air and not realize it's been contaminated. Another way is if you are working with pesticides, either for local community gardens, your own home garden, or if you are working on that widespread farm scale. You can get affected by pesticides through touching it on your skin or actually having it contaminate in your eyes. Some symptoms of pesticide poisoning include appetite loss, headache, depression, drowsiness. It can be motor defects, your hand-eye coordination, your reflexes, twitching, your short-term and memory term, cognitive ability in general. It highly affects our nervous system, and our nervous system is in charge of sending, interpreting, and exporting messages throughout our entire bodies. And if that's affected, then it affects the way the rest of our organs and our body talks and interacts with each other. Pesticides really do affect the way that our bodies work by mainly attacking our nervous system, which then in turns and hurts the rest of our body. However, depending on your exposure length, the type of exposure and the type of pesticide really determines the extent of the damage within your body. Pesticide poisoning is also the most commonly diagnosed pesticide illness that a large scale of people face. Some pesticide-related diseases are immune system distress, so autoimmune diseases like arthritis and Parkinson's disease, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, asthma, birth and fetal defects. A lot of these pesticides are actually related to one type of disease. For example, atrazine, which is found in water, it's a liquid-based pesticide, but it also can contaminate our water sources. That's been directly related to hormone defects and birth defects as well, hormone imbalances. Paraquat pesticides have been linked directly to Parkinson's disease, so higher levels of this type of pesticide have been found in the blood of those infected with the disease. And talone pesticides, which are heavily used in California, have been directly related to high cancer risks as well. Treatments for pesticide poisoning, if contamination occurs on the skin, you want to remove clothing, wash with soap and cool water for about 15 to 30 seconds. If your eyes come into contact, you want to make sure you wash them for about 15 minutes. If you get any itchiness, redness, soreness, rashes, blotches, any type of irritation, you want to contact and seek medical help right away. They're going to be the best people with the right type of options and further options if needed to help fix this issue. If pesticides are swallowed, you want to read the pesticide label. Certain ones require extraction from the body right away, so you might have to induce a vomiting spell yourself or the person who's ingested it. You want to make sure they drink lots of clean water. You also want to dial 911. Authorities will usually use atropine if necessary. It's usually that type of treatment and drug is used on industrial workers with long-term heavy exposure with organophosphates and carbamates as well. It binds to the chemicals in our blood and allows the chemical to not react negatively towards the rest of our body systems. The best person, though, is going to give you these treatment options is going to be your doctor. If you have any related diseases that are directly caused from pesticides, the doctor will run a series of blood tests and gas tests to see how much of the chemical is in your body, if it's possible to be extracted, to do that right away, and then to actually treat the disease that you have. So again, you want to contact that medical help immediately. Since the bringing to light of negative consequences, the publication of silent spraying, and the creation of this need for regulation has really paved the way for agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency, the United States Department of Agriculture, the Food and Drug Administration, and the Center for Disease Control. They come together and they work together to register pesticide products, educate professional applicators, monitor compliance, and investigate problems. It is up to them to protect our food from an environmental standpoint, for animals and for ourselves as humans, because a lot can affect our body. Some current news about pesticides. Latest research has shown that pesticides can affect male bee sperm by about 40%. Honeybees are responsible for pollinating and creating about 80% of our fruits and vegetables that we eat on a daily basis. So because of seeing how greatly impacted our environment and and other animals are by pesticides, the EPA has created new guidance and stricter enforcement rules on the use of pesticides, using alternative pesticides, and things like that, and really cutting back on these synthetic chemicals that are being used. A thought to be good replacement one, as glyphosate, is actually up for review right now and investigation because it's been linked to high cancer rates. That'll be happening in the next few days with the EPA. Basically, all this comes down to healthy choices. So how much we eat and ingest of organically grown and synthetically protected